Funding for this program is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Are you going to read the question first?
Yes, I'm going to read your question.
Okay.
Okay. What two entities certify medical interpreters in the U.S. and what does each one of those acronyms stand for?
Let's start with certification medical interpreters.
Okay, correct on that one.
Two-thirds.
In the last 20 or so years, we've seen increased immigration here in Minnesota.
Well, you got everything but one word.
Yes. So it's like what?
In 1990, just over 2% of our population here in Minnesota were foreign-born, and by 2010, that percentage was closer to 7 to 8%. Demographers talk about population migrations in terms of push and pull factors. So if we think about push factors, there are things that make people want to leave their home countries. Sometimes it might be political persecution, famine, war, those kinds of things. There's also pull factors in terms of economics. So are there more job opportunities and educational opportunities here relative to their home countries? Because our immigrants here in Minnesota are increasingly coming from developing countries, there are some real cultural differences that women who migrate deal with. Sometimes we can see what's happening at a very general level, but we can't understand why it's happening. And some of the specific stories really help us understand why we're seeing what we're seeing.
I was born and raised in Uganda, West Nile, the town of Arua. The war that was started to remove Idi Amin was fought during the time I was just finishing high school. So during the war, then people had to leave their homes. Schools were destroyed. My dad had told himself he's not involved in government, and he hasn't even had anything from the government, so he didn't feel like the government should be interested in him. But and then the people started telling him that it's not going to be about him. It's going to be his wives and his daughters. So they told him that if he does not want to see horrible things happen to these women, these girls, he had better take them out.
My education, I guess, is being my ticket of success. I guess you can lose any material things, but your knowledge, it's going to be hard that somebody stole that. I born in Oaxaca, Mexico. It's a town in the southwest part of Mexico City, close to the Ocean Pacific. I was lucky to go to school, have the opportunity to continue an education. It was a struggle. My parents doesn't have the economic resources to pay for an education. We show up to classes with no books or no notebooks or no money for lunch or dinner. We need to work in order to go to school. So I started working probably when I was 11 years old. So you go to the school either in the morning or in the evening, depending what time is your job. My job was to sell plants in a market. I have a little wagon to pull the plants and put it in the corner, and that was my job. That was the way to do life, you know. I was proud of myself when I can bring some money to support my family, my mother, my dad, and my brothers.
My biological father actually was politically assassinated. I grew up basically as a foster child. When you hear Somalia, you will be thinking it's all little cocoon country and everybody knows everybody. No, it's a large, as big as Texas, and different tribes, different cultures. Even though it's similar, it's still different, and it varies from family to family, to tribe to tribe. I remember a few things about education. It did not come cheap. Came a very heavy price tag with it. I remember being raped in a middle school. Was seventh grader. I remember being raped multiple times from different teachers. The only explanation, it happens. It does happen. There is nobody that will hear you out. It is their natural behavior for them to do that and then get away with it, because there is no such thing. There's a consequence for a man's action. So you are on your own. I really needed to attain something, but I wasn't getting it without being violated and raped.
I grew up in a village called Nkar in Kumbo, northwest of Cameroon. I had my primary, secondary education there and got my first degree at the University of Yaoundé. Education is highly prized in Cameroon, and most people are really educated, although the older female population is not as educated as the younger ones. So generally, a lot of children go to school, although many don't proceed past elementary school due to other circumstances, poverty being the biggest one. My father was a primary school teacher. He actually encouraged us to read, to study, to work hard. And so I actually got into the habit of learning very well while young, because we just had to. My neighbors who didn't have the privileges we have, a lot of them did not end up going through secondary school or going further with school as much as we did in our family. So it matters again who your role model is, who is there behind you to encourage you to have an education.
So they were talking about rape, because with the war, it seemed like it just went hand in hand with the soldiers, or even people just take advantage and they'll just rape women, rape somebody's wife in front of them or their daughters. And so that's when he said, okay, I don't think I want to see that. So he decided that we should leave. We knew the place where we were going to go, but we didn't know whether we were going to find a shelter to be in, or we are just going to put our stuff outside. And so, but that night, the main goal was just to cross the border. I remember that night, it was just like, as if the soldiers are following us. Let's go, let's go, let's cross the border. Mom and Dad we are all going. We don't know where we're going. We don't know if we will ever come back again. And if we come back, whether these huts will be burnt and destroyed or what. But it was hard. It was something I didn't even think about. It was hard to comprehend. I guess the adrenaline, when you feel like something is chasing you, we just had to. It was hard, but sometimes we didn't want to, but you just went with it.
I was probably in between 8 to 12 weeks of pregnancy with my oldest son. And the reason I left Somalia was because of the civil war. It was the beginning of the civil war, where everybody was just, get me out of here. We catch a boat from Bosaso to shores of Yemen. And that is where the boats are illegal, and this is an illegal activity. Then they will dump you near shore, where if you know how to swim, you will swim. If you do not know how to swim, then you will die. About 30 people were in that boat. There was a couple of pregnant moms who were very pregnant, about 6-7 months, small children, one older man who obviously died for, I don't know, probably heat exhaustion. The sun was very hot, there was no adequate water, so it's those fishing boats that do not have umbrella, that do not have anything, there was no any barriers in between us and the sun, and it is humid, and it is hot, and it is, you will gasp for air, and it was tough. It is very, kind of, it's like yesterday. It's one of those memories that I want to get rid of it, but I can't.
So that was one of the things that really, really hit me, that my dad was very disturbed that his young girls could actually fall through things like rape and things like that. Was when I realized, yeah, he was trying hard to protect us. I know even now, I still fear for my daughters, just like the way my dad was afraid. So that has been a struggle for me. It was fear. What if they encounter somebody on the roads at night? And so that fear is still something that is still in me. I can't shake it.
We are almost treated like a second-class citizens. The sexual harassment, I guess, is constant in the streets, on the buses. It's not easy to navigate the society that it's imposed to don't see us with respect. So in general, you live under that conditions, but you don't realize how different it is until you have another environment to compare. That was for me the most hardship in my struggles to continue my education. Always trying to prove yourself that you are capable to do it.
We were an unwelcome guest, so we have to be kicked out, we have to be harassed. It was very hot, let alone so many diseases. I had the baby, it wasn't that bad. My then husband joined me later. There was no infection, there was no nothing, so we did good. And of course I was younger and stronger, but I couldn't get up. It was my first baby, so there's no beds that you can recline it or you can stretch your legs, it's just flat ground. You know, remember trying to scooch and move away from the blood so I can get myself in a drier place. But it gets better, and here I am.
When we think about the population of foreign-born here in Minnesota, it's really an exceptional group, a selected group of people who were able to overcome those barriers. We see often in terms of international immigrants that they're incredibly motivated. They're healthy in particular relative to native-born people, and so they have a lot of benefits and a lot of strengths going for them as well.
When I came to the United States in 1999, I would join Fred Iran, my would-be husband, that same year too. I spent a lot of time alone in the house because my husband was an artist in residence and he used to travel a lot around school, so he was gone most of the week. Isolation set in and, you start getting stressed out. And so I thought of myself, how many women are living like I am doing? I placed a few calls to friends to see if they will, we could get together and, just have a group to give each other support. If many of them, the first two that I called were very, very enthusiastic about it. And the third one I called when she was not home, then I happened to talk to her husband. So the husband picked the phone and then I was just so excited. I started sharing why I was calling to talk to his wife rather. But he did not seem particularly enthusiastic about that. So he kind of discouraged me that, such a thing will not work in the area. We started talking together and talking to other women. Then we set up a meeting. We rallied all the African women that could come that day. We had a conversation just generally about, what our needs and what our experiences are in the area. And from there, the African Women's Alliance was born. And today, it is aimed at providing holistic support to African women in the area, creating a safe and inclusive space for them that they can share their experiences and find the resources that we may provide or that we can refer them.
I was looking for better ways of life, better economic development for myself and my family. My job is being with the Latino community and focusing women. We have a passion in Casa Guadalupe Multicultural Communities, that is a nonprofit organization to support women. And we see that women are the future, almost like a double force in the unity of a family. We will be bringing not just our own capacities to the maximum, but our children's capacities. So it's important for us to create opportunities for the women to empower themselves to be successful. They encounter different obstacles. The language definitely is one. How they have access to a car, how they're going to start driving, how they're going to maintain a schedule, how they're going to do double duties with being mothers and housewives, and plus the work that they need to do at the factory or the services that they do.
I did have a lot of people that support me to get me out of there. I got here, did not have, I think I have a couple of hundreds of dollars, not $300-400, and survived.
The procedure itself is relatively simple.
I work in nursing homes, I work for school districts, I work for independent home health aides, and currently I work for The Bridge. That is a independent company that do translation and interpretation for various languages. So I work for that company currently, and I have one job. For all the times that I had two jobs, this time I have one job, and I feel so blessed.
Our food is grown organically for the most part in Africa, and then a lot of the foods we have here are processed or grown with a lot of chemicals. Statistics actually show that within the first 2 to 4 years of transitioning here, Africans are hit with chronic diseases, high blood pressure, and diabetes, and a host of other diseases. So for the past years, we have organized a number of nutrition literacy classes around topics that are very close to home, starting particularly with chronic diseases. Diabetes has been one of it, and also where our food comes from before it ends on our tables. And so gardening is one thing that we actually encourage our women to do.
Moving to another place is really lonely. When the garden idea came that I was going to be involved in it, it opened up a feeling like there was something I was missing and I didn't know what that it was. and saw the idea of garden. I said, yeah, I've been missing going to the garden, picking fresh food, the way I grew up.
Okay. In Africa, we don't have refrigeration. And when we usually buy fresh food from the market or just get it from our farms and eat. So we had this collaboration with American women who have been doing canning. So we've built this relationship where we invite women who know how to can, and they come teach us how to preserve food. A great way to build community. And we just have fun, we chat, we calculate a lot, and we learn. It's quite a very interesting and enjoyable process.
Oh boy, that's quite a mathematics to do there. I came in February 1990, I think.
91.
91. I got the feeling that kids are kids. My kids were my responsibility, and I knew I had to give them the best. So fortunately I got the first 3 girls. And that was just the attitude I took with them, that they will have to do their best, and I will do my best to give them whatever they need.
Education for me, like it was my dad's vision. My dad felt like he should have been educated, but he wasn't, and then he was going to educate all his children. When I shared that with somebody said, you are not living your dad's vision. Your children are the ones who are going to live it.
My daughter, she plays the cello, she plays the recorder. She is very smart, way beyond my head, way beyond my so smart, very good heart, genuine all-American girl. She's an amazing young woman, and I break the cycle for her.
I'm the mother of 5 children, and 2 are daughters. One of them graduated from St. Cloud State University, like a degree in education, elementary education, and the other one is a student at North Dakota State University. I'm very proud and glad that they get the possibility to get to higher level education with less stress than we used to have, you know. My grandma was a warrior. She walked with her 8 sons thousands of miles from her village to live in the streets of Mexico City looking for jobs. She was a single mother, and she managed to bring my 4 aunts to be professionals, and she managed to bring the family afloat. She was visionary, she was a warrior, she was a strong force, definitely, you know, to transform many, many generations, like the life of my daughters today.
Fred had diabetes and would develop complications from it over time. It caused his organs to start failing at some point. So he died from diabetes, and it's tough going through that, and the children, we all lived it, and it was not an easy experience, but we all learned how diseases as such can manifest themselves, and we are doing the best we can. One thing I know is a standard from when I was little is that education is very important. My father instilled that in me. I know that, and my mother gave me all the support, gave us all the support, and I know that parents need to be there for their children to be successful. I'm doing the best I can, even as a single mother, to be there, just that.
Well, she really encourages me to do academic programs and to really do well in school, and I do try my hardest to do that. From like 5th grade, I've been in like a lot of different academic programs, like United States Academic Triathlon and Knowledge Bowl. And last year, I was invited to go to the United Kingdom and Ireland for an ambassador program.
I feel so proud that my mom, in a situation where maybe a young girl's education isn't the most important thing in the world, it was made the most important thing in the world. And to see the chain of events that's kind of happened from that, I feel like I would have no history. I wouldn't be here. And even now, girls all over the world struggle with getting an education. So for that situation, I feel so blessed to have this family.
It just makes me want to keep going with whatever I'm doing and know that I can do it. Like if my mom did it in this situation, I can do it in this, not even comparable situation.
Khalil Gibran is a poet, and there's one of his poems is about the children, and that is my constant companion. I have to read it day in and day out. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life, longing for itself. They came through you, but not from you, although they are with you, yet they belong not to you. This is very meaningful. Even though this is my daughter, I want her to be the best, and this is my son, and I want him to be the best. But still, I have to teach myself, this is a different person, this is not me. The experience is different, the culture is different.
Today is the first year that we say, we've been talking to celebrate ourselves. What are we waiting for? But coming together bring us to be here tonight and have the possibility to build relationship with each of you. And each of us are a force in our communities, in one way or in another. Each of us, young, old, is needed in our communities. And I guess tonight I would like to go in a closing saying the powerful force that we are like women. When we come together, we move things. Thank you for being here tonight.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.